The first time Adebimpe noticed him, it wasn't because of his looks, though those were difficult to ignore. It was because of his patience. Most young men who entered the banking hall at Aso Savings Bank in Marina were either in a hurry or full of unnecessary arrogance, especially if they believed their confidence translated into charm. But not him. He waited quietly, earbuds tucked in, tapping his fingers lightly on his phone screen, as if silently conducting an invisible orchestra. Even when an elderly woman mistakenly caught the cue, he simply stepped aside, smiled, and let her go ahead. Adebimpe saw all of this from her desk. She told herself she was only observing because it was her job, but a part of her knew that wasn't entirely true. His name, as she would later learn, was Ayomide. He was 26, 3 years younger than she was, yet carried himself with a calm confidence that made him appear older. His voice had that gentle baritone that settled into a woman's chest and lingered long after he walked away. The first time he approached her desk, she felt her heart betray her, fluttering lightly, something that hadn't happened in years. "Good afternoon, ma," he said, dipping his head slightly in greeting. "Ma." She hated the fact but liked how respectfully he said it. "Good afternoon. How may I help you?" I need help with my online banking. Something isn't working." She checked his profile on her screen. His account had been recently opened, had a decent inflow, and the details were consistent. Then she handed him a form to fill out. She wasn't prepared for the way his hand brushed lightly against hers while taking the paper. Electricity, clear and sharp. She looked up, he looked up, and something shifted between them. Over the next few weeks, Ayamide's visits became a routine. Not too frequent, never enough to seem intentional, but always just enough for her to notice. Sometimes he came for an account update. Sometimes there's a minor complaint about ATM limits. She quickly realized he could solve most of these issues on his own. He just used them as excuses. When he finally asked for her number, he did it indirectly. "I hope you don't mind," he said with a shy smile, "but I'd like you to check something for me later, outside banking hours. Could I send it to you?" Their eyes locked in a way that made it impossible to pretend she didn't understand the subtext. Against her better judgment, she gave him the number. Their relationship unfolded naturally, unexpected, unforced, and beautifully seamless. Late-night chats turned into voice notes turned into regular video calls. Video calls became weekend outings, long walks around Freedom Park, gelato in Lekki, and Sunday jollof at Terra Culture. He was caring without being overbearing, playful without being childish, ambitious without being arrogant. He talked to her like she was the only woman in the world. For the first time in her life, someone chose her fully, without hesitation. She found herself falling in love, falling deeply, falling gladly, falling dangerously. But love, she knew, didn't exist in isolation. There was a world she belonged to, a world defined not by emotion, but by culture, by lineage. But he was rigid, uncompromising, unmoving as granite, by the unspoken laws of fathers. Her father, Baba Adebimpe, was a man carved from tradition, a strict Yoruba patriarch from Ijebu Waterside. He believed children, even the grown ones, existed under the umbrella of parental authority until marriage, and even beyond. He was not wicked. No, he believed that when it came to marriage, love was a secondary ingredient, nice to have, but never a foundation. He had a philosophy his daughters had heard repeated so often it had become a family proverb. A good marriage does not start with love. it starts with knowing the root of the husband. To him, the lineage of a man mattered more than anything the man himself could offer. In his youth, he had seen friends destroyed by marriages into families with troubling histories, madness, epilepsy, violent death, and strange ailments that repeated down generations. A person who wants to build must first inspect the ground. So, when Adebimpe tentatively mentioned she was seeing someone younger, someone she liked, her father cut her off immediately. "You cannot marry anybody outside the investigation of this family," he said sternly. "Bring his name, bring his parents' names. I must know where he comes from." It sounded fair, even reasonable, until the fear began. Because Ayomibe, he had never told her much about his family. Not because he was hiding anything, but because she had never asked deeply. And now, her father demanded everything. She delayed telling him, then delayed again and again. The fear grew. What if her father investigated and found something? What if there was an affliction somewhere far down Ayo's lineage, something unrelated to him but enough to disqualify him? What if she lost him simply because of tradition? What if her father forced her to marry someone else, someone she had never met? The weight of her culture began to press down on her chest until breathing became difficult. One evening, after weeks of emotional torment, she finally broke. She called Ayo. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "I don't think we can continue. My father, he has rules. He must investigate the family of whoever I want to marry. And you know Yoruba fathers, if he finds even one thing, he'll stop everything." Silence. Then, in a voice deeper than she had ever heard from him, "So you're leaving me because of what your father might find? Not because of something you know?" Tears filled her eyes. "Ayo, I'm scared. I don't want to love you more, only to lose you in the end." "Do you love me now?" he asked. She could barely speak. "Yes." "Then let me fight for us." She shook her head. "You don't understand. Once my father rejects someone, that's the end. There is no pleading, no reconsideration." Another silence. Then, "So, this is it?" Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry." He didn't argue, didn't shout, didn't beg. He simply whispered, "Then I pray life brings us back together." When he ended the call, she felt like a part of her soul had been ripped out. Days passed, then weeks. Her father, seeing her sadness, decided it was time. "There is someone," he announced one morning. "A young man from a very good home. I have done my findings. No madness, no sudden death, no epilepsy, no generational causes. His father was a good man before he passed. His mother is God-fearing. The family is clean." He listed these attributes with the pride of a man announcing a major business acquisition. "You will meet him on Sunday." Adebimpe did not argue. She no longer had the strength. A part of her had resigned to fate. Another part prayed silently that God would perform a miracle. Sunday arrived. She dressed simply in Ankara and Kora beads, the type her father liked. Her mother adjusted the head tie gently. "You will like him," she whispered. "Your father cannot choose wrongly." But Adebimpe's heart beat as if she were being led to a courtroom where her sentence awaited. When the doorbell rang, her father straightened proudly
and went outside to welcome the guest. Minutes later, he returned. His voice was excited.
Come and greet him. She stood. Her palms were cold. Her breathing is shallow. She stepped into the sitting room, then stopped, froze, blinking, breathing once, twice. Because sitting on the sofa, neatly dressed in a cream kaftan, looking as shocked as she felt, was Ayomide. Her Ayomide, her heartbreak, her love. Her father cleared his throat proudly. Adebimpe, meet the young man I chose for you. His name is Ayomide Adesayan. He comes from a very good home. I have done all my findings. His family is clean. Clean! Her father said clean. Her knees weakened. Ayo stood slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. So, her father continued smiling. You two can start getting to know each other. Her mother added softly, destiny is a funny thing. Adebimpe felt tears rising, not of sadness, but of overwhelming relief. Ayo stepped closer, not touching her, just close enough for only her to hear. Life brought us back, he whispered. Her lips parted, trembling. So, you were the man my father chose? Apparently, he said, with a small smile. He reached out to my mother. They've been talking for weeks, investigating ancestry, asking questions, doing background checks, two families thinking they were connecting strangers. She laughed through tears. Meanwhile, the strangers were already dating. Her father, watching from the corner, nodded in satisfaction. Good things are worth waiting for, he declared. She turned to him overwhelmed. You knew? She whispered. He smiled. The day a child thinks she is wise enough to hide a man, the father smiles and pretends not to see. I only needed to be sure the family was clean. Once I confirmed it, what else was there to worry about? Adebimpe stared, stunned. Her entire world shifted. The fear, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights, the tears, all of it had been unnecessary. Her father had never been fighting her. He had been protecting her the only way he knew how. Ayo reached out and gently took her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. Her father clapped his hands once, pleased. Oh yeah? Let us discuss engagement dates. Engagement dates? The words echoed like music. Adebimpe looked at Ayo again, really looked at him. Fate had stitched their story long before either of them realized. And now, the path was clear. The path chosen by love. The path chosen by culture. The path chosen by destiny. The path their fathers chose. 3 months later, under a canopy decorated with palm fronds and golden asoki, surrounded by Yoruba drums and chanting aunties, Adebimpe whispered to Ayo, I almost lost you. He smiled and kissed her forehead. No, he said, you were always coming back to me, even if we had to take the long road. She leaned into him, breathing the scent she had missed so deeply. For the first time in her adult life, she understood something profound. Love does not always fight culture. Sometimes it fulfills it. Sometimes it aligns with destiny in ways the human mind cannot predict. And sometimes, just sometimes, the man your father chooses is the man your heart chose first.